Hi, welcome to Advent of Refactoring Day 23. So we've got here our website voucher handler, which has a whole bunch of validation stuff for the data that's coming in from the webhook or wherever it's coming in from. We've got a handle function that actually does stuff with all of that data and tries to sort of create a correctly used voucher and tickets and all the rest of it. The validation stuff is all here. It's getting a bit long and unwieldy. And as we start getting more conditions in here, it's going to get even worse. So what we're going to do is to split this out into a separate validating system. And because we're using Django, we can use django.forms. Some other options that you can use in JavaScript would be Zod, which is really great. And in Python, if you're working with deeply nested data, then the forms, Django forms, might not be so great. You could switch over to using Pydantic or something like that, which also works extremely well. So what we're going to do is we'll just split the editor in half because we're going to need to see all of this stuff as we move it across. And let's open a forms file here. So forms is currently empty. It doesn't have to be called forms. You can call it whatever you want, but this is our convention. So from Django import forms. Oh my gosh. From Django import forms. Then we can say class website voucher form forms dot form. So let's start going through these bits we need. So code equals a forms dot char field, and it needs to be there, so it's required, and it needs to have length of less than 10. So we can say max length equals 10. I guess we've added one thing to our form there. So let's bring this in here then, shall we? So we can then say website voucher form self.data and pass that in like that. Website voucher form hasn't imported it because editor's being silly today. So from.forms import website voucher form. Thank you. So we've got our website voucher form, we've passed in the thing.data, and then we can say if website voucher form dot is valid, then we're all good. So if not is valid, and then we can say raise validation error, incorrect data. I'm not going to try and copy across all of the errors and make that come through properly for today. I'm just showing the principle of using a form for whatever shape data to validate it. If you need to make the errors correct, then go read the docs. So we've now got data pulled through. We've now got the data length for the code pulled through. Let's get that. Email is next, so let's do that. So email equals forms dot email field, and max length equals 100. Why not? So we've now got email built in there as well, and it's also going to be checked by that is valid, so we can get rid of that one. First name, do the same. So first name equals forms dot char field, max length equals 100, and then last name as well. So we've got first name and last name in there as well. And all of that we're just checking with this one is valid thing here. So we're moving all of the logic across to there. So what about this next bit here? Website objects filter by the code. It needs to be the right type of thing. Okay, so the code isn't actually just a char field. It's actually like a model lookup, it looks like. It needs to find a website voucher thing. So let's grab that, shall we? And then this code here, we can change this to a model choice field. Let's paste that stuff in there so we can see what we've got. So model choice field, it takes a query set of the things where it can be found. Website voucher, so from.models import website voucher. Objects.filter, slug, so that's where we're looking it up there. So it's the slug field. We'll just cut that out for now. Status equals active, so it's only going to look for the active ones there. Then we need to say to field name equals slug, because that's how we're going to be looking up the voucher by this code that comes in. So code we've now converted to that model choice field, which means it's now doing that lookup for us. And then finally this events one, the same thing. So we can now say event ID equals then all this stuff there, same kind of thing. We want to have a event.objects.all, and there's no filter on there, so we can just change this to all. There we go. And doesn't to field name ID. So we've now created a form that's validating the whole thing, which is great. And an interesting thing with this website form thing here, let's attach this to thing. So we'll say self.form equals website form voucher with all that stuff, and we've checked that it's valid. This event here, where we're getting it, we've already got it here, we've already sort of looked it up, so we can get rid of this whole section here too. What we can say is event equals self.form.cleaned data event ID. Because the form, if it is one of these model choice fields, the thing that it loads in will actually be the instance of that object rather than just the ID. So we can clean the data up there. And this feels like a pretty good refactor. We've used a validation library, in this case django.forms. We've moved all of the validation logic into the form, which comes with a lot more useful tools like the max length stuff built in. You can use all sorts of other normal Django validators. So, thanks for watching.